So another concern I guess I have, and I like hate to be this person because I'm pro like applicant and less, pro law school or LSAC. Um, but I'm just concerned about, let's just say the tests are not comparable, right? And if the data is skewed upward or if it's skewed lower, however the scores are, I wonder what effect that will have on the law students' potential in law school. And obviously, potential is not always directly tied to the LSAT score, right? Because there are many students who don't test well, who do exceptionally well in law school. And then there are people who test really well and then they don't do as great in law school. And the LSAT, in some measures, is supposed to be a measure of how to predict that. I'm wondering, does it set someone up for failure, more or less, if it is not an accurate measure with the tools that we have been previously using? Because I would hate for it to be like the test was easier, right? Just because of the nature of the quarantine. And then now you get to 1L and you're like, was this a waste of 50 grand? Because it really didn't do the intended purpose is to measure how ready or prepared you are to go through this 3 years, right? So that is the goal. Are we potentially doing a disservice to students by allowing this?
That's a great question. If the results were significantly different in either direction, I
Right.
think that would call into question the integrity of the entire exam being administered online in this new format. But I personally have a lot of faith in LSAC's commitment to maintaining the integrity of the exam and the validity of the scores that result from it. And if they didn't think they could pull it off, I don't think they would do it. They're really sticklers about the data. And that's part of why it traditionally takes 3 weeks to get your score back, because even though they've pre-tested the questions and done all their analysis to make sure that this test form compares to other previous test forms, they still take 3 weeks afterwards to make sure that students performed on the widespread administration as expected. And they could do it a little bit faster, I'm sure. And they're actually, for the LSAT-Flex, they're going to do it in 2 weeks rather than 3, in part because law schools really want those scores so they can consider applicants.
Yeah.
But even if there's a mild variation, LSAT can simply adjust the raw score conversion. Like if people do 3 points better on average, they can just adjust how many questions you need to get correct to get a 170, for example, to be slightly more. Also, for some folks who take time to get warmed up, 3 sections might not be enough. Maybe they do better on sections 4 and 5. And then in that case, I would recommend those students do a warm up. So I think it's kind of balanced. There's pros and cons on all sides, just like there have been pros and cons for the in-person. Like some people are really distracted by others in an in-person environment, others aren't. And so this kind of flips that advantage around a little bit. So I think ultimately things are moderated in both directions. Maybe it'll skew more one way this time than another, but I think a lot of it will cancel out. And then this is also a good pilot for LSAC because this is not an open registration exam for this May LSAT Flex administration.
I was just going to ask that.
It's only for people who were previously registered for the April LSAT in person. You can't, like anybody listening to this now or watching this who wasn't registered can't just sign up for it. If you register for June though in person and that's canceled, then I think many more people will take the replacement exam as the LSAT Flex Online for June. And then it'll be a larger pool of people for them to do further analysis. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.